Okay, so we want to find a focal form equation, a version, of a quadratic equation. So we have this quadratic equation, which is all kind of mixed up. We want to put it into focal form, which, since we have an x squared, is going to look something kind of like this. X minus h squared equals 4p times y minus k. So what we need to do is we need to find some kind of binomial squared with x's on the left-hand side, and then the right will figure out. Also, this could potentially be a negative here. So we need to find a perfect square binomial, or we need to factor the left-hand side to be a binomial squared, and then on the right-hand side we need to factor it to figure out, what this y minus k piece is. We know it's going to be an x squared parabola because there's the x squared. So this is a little bit different than the circles. On the circles, we complete the square for x and for y, both on the left-hand side of the equation. For parabolas, we only have one squared variable, and we keep that variable on the left and move everything else to the right. So in this case, we got x squared plus 12x, and what we want to do is we want to subtract the y and the 30 from both sides, minus y minus 30 here, so gone. Okay, so on the left-hand side, we just have x squared plus 12x. And we're also only going to leave a little space for completing the square. On the right-hand side, we have negative y minus 30 because we subtracted those from both sides. Okay, so make sure that you don't just put a positive y and a positive 30 over here, because that's not going to work. All right, the next thing we need to do is figure out how to complete the square. So we need to take half of this number, which would be 6, and then we square it. So plus 36. We also have to do this on this side as well, because if we only add something to one side, our equation's not balanced anymore. So what we have is x squared plus 12x plus 36 equals negative y, and then we're going to have a plus 6 here because the negative 30 and the positive 36 combine. Okay. We're going to factor the left-hand side. We already know that this factors to a perfect squares, a binomial squared. This is a perfect squares trinomial. We forced it to be. So it has to factor to something that looks like this. And in this case, we're going to have x plus 6 squared. Right? Factors to a binomial, and the number that goes here is half of this guy. On the right-hand side, we do need to factor this as well, because we want a parentheses with like just y here. We don't want a negative y. We want just a positive y and then maybe some number after it. So whatever is multiplying this y, or whatever's in front of this y, we have to factor it out. In this case, this is kind of like a negative 1 times y plus 6. So what we have to factor out is a negative 1 or like a negative. So factor out a negative or a negative 1. And what's left is a positive y and a negative 6. Okay, so this is what we're after right here. If we wanted to go one step further, we could say, well, this is going to open down because it's negative, and the vertex is going to be at negative 6, positive 6. So that's kind of how to read that one. So sorry, that's kind of weird because I have all these answer choices here, not a lot of room, but hopefully you can kind of see that work. This is x plus 6 squared equals negative times y minus 6. So figure out which one of those matches your answer choice. It's maybe going to be in a different order than what I have here, but it looks like in this version, it's right there.